at what are some of the predictions over the next 25 years. These are international predictions from various agencies that have been made about Nigeria and the climate and environment, etc. I know there's so much on the screen, but I'll just like take your attention to a couple of them. So for 2028, the International Energy Agency, IEA, has basically predicted that solar would overtake coal in electricity generation. And there's so much conversation around gas. I'm sure Mr. Isoko Harari, who's an expert in this, when we have our energy conversation, hopefully we can get him back to also chip in on that, because River State, I mean, most of the state now is dark, because I think there's currently a challenge at AFAM. And you agree with me that over the past year, it's been consistent. If the national grid is not falling, there's been consistent issues, right? And with the Electricity Act being signed, giving states the power to generate electricity, it's very important that we begin to think about what are the energy sources around us, whether it's for dams, whether you're looking at the Atlantic Ocean and the wind that comes through Bonny. We're looking at solar energy. We need to start thinking, or natural gas even. We start thinking about ways where we can basically generate our own electricity. And that from 2028, in 3 years' time, the world actually will be moving forward with stuff like that. There's also 10 years from now, in 2035, the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics has predicted that there'll be 5 million extra people in River State. That would be what, 500,000 people every year. And that begs the question, right? If at current 9-point-something million population, we still have challenges with housing and food security and stuff. You know, if we have 500,000 people coming into the states, or being born or coming in, migrating from other states or migrating from the rural to urban areas, how would we feed them? How would we house them? Where would they live? What roads would they pass? That would bring more pressure to the resources that we have. And so we need to be thinking way ahead to be able to mitigate some of these challenges. There's also a small matter of 2032. I mean, this issue always brings a lot of like divisive conversations, but Deloitte had predicted that Nigeria's oil reserves will begin to deplete from the year 2032. And knowing that that's basically been what for close to 50 years, our state's economy has been built on oil, right? How do we think differently? I mean, through this project, we've started to engage with folks from Norway and Qatar and stuff, and seeing how they're using their oil wells to diversify their economy. That's definitely something we need to think about. And also look at the issue of gas as well. Gas being, I mean, Nigeria's decade of gas had begun. So gas being a huge source of energy and a huge potential for like growth of our economy. How do we begin to look at that as well as one of the things? And there's this final sad prediction about, which actually is here already, by 2040, the UN Environment had predicted sea level rise, and that this sea level rise will begin to wipe off many coastal communities, especially for those of us who are along the Atlantic. And there are many rivers coastal communities. I'm from Kono in Ogoniland, and that's a coastal community, right? The water level has started to rise. The beach is receding. The Nigerian thing is often to wait until it happens, and then we say, oh, it has happened, and we say, oh, it's an act of God, without really like preparing ahead for this. 2040 isn't so far away, it's just 15 years. So how do we ensure that we start thinking ahead and thinking for these coastal communities? How do we create resilience? But if particular communities need to migrate in the future, how do we ensure that, where would they even move to and stuff like that? So I think these are the kind of thoughts and things that we've been thinking about. And we hope that through the project, we can begin to inspire that kind of futurist thinking, ensuring that we don't get consumed with the now and here, but also are able to prepare for the future generations. There's also this one that has been on my mind, 2045, where it's predicted that robotics and AI would disrupt 30% of traditional jobs. My son was born last year. So if he goes to school for the 6334 system, in 16 years, that will be somewhere at 2041. That's when he'll start to work. So he'll be like, I don't know, 20-something years. And at this point, he will be starting work at the time when robotics and AI is disrupting the market. So what education are we preparing the kids of now to be able to fit into the work of the 2040s and 2030s? How are we ensuring? There's a time in Nigeria where River State had the best primary school infrastructure, the best content. We had foreigners coming in to come teach our students from way back. how have we left that? And today, I mean, you see some Rivers primary schools, public primary schools without roofs and stuff like that. So how can we prepare our kids for the future fully? You know, and so these are the kind of things that we've been, you know, tasking ourselves within the group. So this.